Altcoin season is right around the corner. Cryptocurrency prices are exploding right now. 5 more Bitcoin ETFs were just filed and Coinbase is soaring. But today I want to talk about the method behind all of this madness and a couple of the possible catalysts that are going to play a huge part in the next bull cycle. Now, if you're new to the Crypto Analyst channel, welcome. My name is Brendan and I make videos just like this one every single week, multiple times a week. So if you want to stay up to date on everything that's crypto related, this is going to be your one-stop shop for all of that. Now let's go ahead and begin and dive on in here because as you probably heard from the title, there is a ton going on in the world of crypto, but when isn't there? Well, SIBO just refiled 5 Bitcoin ETFs, and this includes Coinbase surveillance agreements. Now, over the past couple of months, we've been going back and forth about, is Coinbase safe? Are they going to be regulated? What do these regulations look like? Is it in the US government's best interest to even regulate a major exchange like Coinbase, especially when they're pushing so many other players out and China's trying to enter into crypto? You know, yada, yada, yada. You probably heard all that stuff before. Well, inside of this, I guess, new ETF filings, we have ETFs from Invesco, massive financial institution, VanEck, WisdomTree, Fidelity, among others as well. And obviously, we've all heard of BlackRock. So if you're not familiar, almost all of the names, if not all of these names that I just mentioned, are trillion-dollar financial institutions, which means that they all have trillions of dollars one way or another, whether it's through assets under management or something along those lines. These are massive players. And to put this in perspective for you, the entire crypto market cap, which means Bitcoin and all the altcoins all combined, is roughly around $1 trillion. So these are all financial institutions who have more assets than the entire crypto market cap combined, for the most part. You know, there's probably a few exceptions out there. The point is, these are massive players. And what do you know? Inside of this, inside of what's happening here, Coinbase is being mentioned. Now, what's a surveillance agreement? Well, these surveillance sharing agreements are a measure that's actually recommended by the SEC in March, which says that they can prevent fraud and protect investors. So why is Coinbase being mentioned here, and why does that mean any kind of significant role? Well, because Coinbase, again, they've been pretty heavily regulated. People were nervous about whether the Coinbase was going to try to kick Coinbase out of the States, whether they were a safe exchange. And it looks like if all of these pretty much security agreements that are being issued by the SEC are going to be done by Coinbase, I think it's safe to say that they're looking like they're going to be all right. And that should, I say that a little bit sarcastically because even the US government uses Coinbase, BlackRock uses Coinbase. It's no surprise that a lot of these security agreements are going to be done by Coinbase and that they're going to be mentioned in these. You know, it doesn't look like Coinbase is going anywhere. And I think that's a really positive thing for crypto because they're not only one of the biggest exchanges in the States, but they're one of the biggest exchanges in the world, definitely rivaling Binance, especially when Binance is in a bit of turmoil right now. So as all this is happening and Coinbase is seeing a lot of love, they are up 90% in the last 35 days, which means that they're almost up 90% in the last month. Now, as a stock, that's wild. We know they got hit hard during the bear market, but again, they are seriously starting to recover. They just hit new 11-month highs yesterday, and they're doing all right for themselves. And there's a bunch of articles like this one that are out there that are just kind of saying, hey, Coinbase shares are rising amid the Bitcoin optimism, and there's a lot of positive love going around about the world of Coinbase. Now, what about all these crypto prices? You know, what do we think are going to be some of these catalysts? What are the cryptos that are seeing these big gains? Well, if you remember in last week's video, we talked about a number of cryptos. You look at Maker, you look at Aave, Compound, Solana, Bitcoin Cash, cryptos that are up anywhere from 50, 100, 200% in the last month. So, you know, I said in the beginning of the video, I think that an altcoin season is on the way, but I want to clarify that and say I don't think it's here right now. We are seeing cryptos that are moving really, really nicely. They're seeing great gains. It's all a good thing, but I don't think we're in full-blown altcoin season yet, because if we go and we look at something like Bitcoin dominance, for example, Bitcoin dominance is still fairly high. It saw a nice breakout. It's pushing back up towards the upside. Until Bitcoin dominance is really kind of in a downtrend, that's when altcoin season begins, when Bitcoin dominance begins to fall. And we're not quite there yet. So I don't think altcoin season is currently here. But I do believe that there is going to be one on the way after Bitcoin dominance probably builds up a little bit more, after it reverses. We're going to get quite the altcoin season, and we're just getting a taste of that right now with a couple of these altcoins. Now, one of the other things that is happening right now is we're getting a little bit of a glimpse into what's happening with developer activity and what projects, what cryptocurrencies are seeing some of the best developer increases and decreases across the board. So shout out to Tom Dunleavy on Twitter. I have him plugged in the top right of the screen if you want to check him out and give him a follow, because he is the one who, I believe, published this, along with Electric Capital. So let's take a look at this. What are the notable players over here? Well, he highlights that Aztec is up around 267%, Sui is up 159%, and I just wrote a newsletter on Sui for Crypt Nation. So if you're in Crypt Nation, you already have access to this, and it's one that's well worth checking out. And if you're not in Crypt Nation, definitely go and join, because it's a great place to be, and I'm one of the analysts over there. But Sui Network has caught my eye recently, and I had the team kind of share it with me. And number one, I think the project looks sick. I don't own any Sui yet. I fully plan on getting some after writing up this newsletter. But it's also good to see, and it's very validating to see that their 1 year change is one of the highest of developer activities. So I think that that's kind of a reassuring positive thing. So again, I don't own any Sui. This isn't sponsored by them. But it's good to see that they have positive fundamentals and they're seeing developer activity. It's just a positive thing. Ton's up 102%. I believe that's Telegram's. I forget what it stands for, but I believe this is Telegram's platform. Then we have Aptos up 90, Celestial up 84, Osmosis, I'm a big fan of Osmosis, up 56%, and Optimism up 27%. And one of the other things that I want to note over here is the sheer amount of developer activity on things like Cosmos, which has just head and shoulders over a bunch of these other players. So it says that they have total monthly developers of around 1,700, but their full-time monthly developers is around 524. Now, I would love to see this kind of compared against things like Ethereum, Cardano, things of that nature, some of the other major players. But we know that Cosmos is one of the most active blockchains that is out there. So I'd love to see this done, kind of pinning Cosmos against some of the larger players in the space. But it's still great to see that it's playing a big role here. Now, for those of you who don't know, Osmosis is a DEX and platform for Cosmos. So it makes sense that if Osmosis is doing well and Cosmos is doing well, the two are somewhat related. But anyway, I bring this up because a lot of people don't get to view developer activity, and it's an important metric. If something's going to survive the bear market and see an increase in developer activity, I view that as a positive thing. So just a cool metric, not one that we often go over on the channel over here. And finally, nothing new is happening in the world of Bitcoin. We're still consolidating. Not a single candle body closing over here has been above this resistance line of around $31,000. And we see all the wicks trying to pierce through up here, but none of them have been successful so far. And all these candle body closings are happening below 31,000 for the most part. So it kind of begs the question, is Bitcoin bound to reject here, or is it going to be able to pull off a miracle and shoot through this resistance and give us a little bit of upside? Either way, I think the macros of Bitcoin here are still very bullish. Bitcoin could come down in the short term. I don't think it would be an awful thing. I've kind of elaborated on that in the past. But even if Bitcoin pulls back here, I'm not very bearish on it. I think that the mid and long term of Bitcoin is looking better than ever. And with all these ETFs and everything else that we've talked about happening right now, I think all of this is going to play a major role in this next market cycle. So I mentioned catalysts at the beginning of the video. I think a couple of these catalysts are going to be things like these ETF filings. What cryptos are going to get ETFs? who is filing these ETFs, what does developer activity look like, and kind of who is playing a part and a role in these ETFs. You know, obviously we see Coinbase being one of them, but those are all things that I think are going to play a big role in the next bull market. So that's why I decided to talk about all of them in today's video. So as everything continues to progress, I'm going to make sure that I keep everyone updated. There's a lot more info coming out every single day. So until Friday's video, everyone, stick around. And again, all that I ask is that if you like the video, consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button and stick around. So that's going to wrap us up here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see all of you on Friday.